Welcome to Immigration Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: immigration requires an open conversation. Scorching heat caused deaths to double at busiest route. Hurricane Braverman blows them away with a right-wing tour de force. Are international students' post-study work rights too generous? I'm a conservative who wants the Tories to lose the next election, and I'm not alone. Immigration requires an open conversation. Telegraph. Sala Braverman, the UK Home Secretary, has faced criticism for questioning the relevance of the United Nations Refugee Convention, triggering backlash from her own party. However, at the Conservative conference, Braverman reiterated her view that immigration, both legal and illegal, is too high and risks cultural upheaval. While many in the country may agree with her, it is important for her to explain why immigration has continued to rise under the Conservatives' watch. The population has grown significantly since 2010, putting pressure on public finances. Braverman understands the practical, social, and political implications of immigration and is determined to address the issue honestly. Scorching heat caused deaths to double at busiest route. The Guardian. The number of deaths along a major migrant route into the U.S. more than doubled in the 2023 fiscal year, largely due to scorching summer temperatures, according to data from the U.S. Border Patrol. Of the 148 recorded deaths in the El Paso sector, more than 100 occurred between May and September. The majority of the deaths were concentrated around the New Mexico cities of Sunland Park and Santa Teresa. More than half a dozen migrants also died in water-related incidents, including 2 drownings in July. The figures are likely to increase Republican criticism of the Biden administration's border policies. Hurricane Braverman blows them away with a right-wing tour de force. Telegraph. The Conservative Party has rediscovered its inner nasty as it embraces populism, according to an op-ed in The Guardian. The writer criticized a speech by Conservative MP Sala Braverman at the party conference in which she attacked immigration and accused the left of having luxury beliefs. The article also criticized other speeches at the conference, including those by Health Secretary Sajid Javid and Environment Secretary Michael Gove. Are international students' post-study work rights too generous? ABC. Many international students studying in Australia are struggling to find work after graduation due to an oversupply of international graduates and a lack of job opportunities. A report by the Grattan Institute argues that the Australian government has made post-study work rights too generous, leading to false hope among international graduates. The report states that only half of international students secure full-time employment, and most end up in low-skilled jobs. It also found that less than 1/3 of temporary graduate visa holders transition to permanent residency, down from 2/3 in 2014. The number of temporary graduate visa holders in Australia has doubled to nearly 200,000 since 2019, and the report estimates that the number could double again to around 370,000 by 2030. The Grattan Institute recommends raising the English language standard, limiting temporary graduate visas to people under 35, and only offering extensions to graduates earning at least $70,000 Australian dollars, $53,000 per year. It also suggests scrapping visa extensions for graduates in nominated shortage areas. I'm a conservative who wants the Tories to lose the next election, and I'm not alone. Telegraph. The Conservative Party is facing growing disillusionment and disunity among its members and supporters, according to an op-ed in The Telegraph. The author argues that the party has repeatedly failed to deliver on key promises, such as reducing immigration, and has instead pursued policies that contradict its traditional values. The article also criticizes the government's handling of the NHS and its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, arguing that the health system is in a state of collapse and that the government has failed to take decisive action. The author concludes by calling for a period of soul-searching within the Conservative Party and suggests that a period in opposition may be necessary for the party to rediscover its purpose and values. The op-ed highlights a growing sense of disillusionment among the Conservative Party's traditional supporters. The author argues that many members and supporters feel that the party has abandoned its core values and has failed to deliver on key promises. This disillusionment is reflected in recent by-election results, where the Conservative Party has struggled to secure victory, and in the growing number of members and supporters who are refusing to vote for the party. The article also criticizes the government's handling of the NHS and its response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The author argues that the health system is in a state of collapse and that the government has failed to take decisive action to address the crisis. This failure has further eroded trust in the party and its ability to govern effectively. Overall, the op-ed argues that a period of soul-searching and renewal is needed within the Conservative Party. It suggests that a period in opposition may be necessary for the party to rediscover its purpose and values. The author concludes by expressing hope that a defeat at the next general election could lead to a realignment of the party and the rise of new leaders who embody the principles and values of traditional conservatism. Alleged sex trafficking boss deported over underground prostitution network. The Sydney Morning Herald. Australia is introducing a series of reforms to its visa system to combat human trafficking and the exploitation of foreign workers. The reforms include the establishment of a new immigration compliance division and a multi-agency task force to investigate suspected sex and drug traffickers. The measures come in response to reports by the Sydney Morning Herald, The Age, 60 Minutes and Stan, which uncovered the exploitation of foreign workers. The government will also tighten regulations on domestic migration agents and increase background checks and vetting procedures. Sala Braverman warns of hurricane of migrants. Financial Times. UK Home Secretary Sala Braverman has warned that a hurricane of migrants is threatening to enter the country. In a speech to Conservative activists, Braverman claimed that immigration into the UK would become uncontrolled and unmanageable without the Tories in government. The Home Secretary is among several ministers vying to position themselves as future leaders as the Conservatives head into a tough re-election battle. Braverman stated that the government would soon begin closing down asylum hotels, where thousands of people are currently housed due to a backlog of applications. A passport scanner at Heathrow cost me an £8,000 family holiday. Telegraph. Airlines face a fine if they allow passengers to board who are then turned away at the border, so they tend to play it safe when it comes to assessing whether a passport is too damaged to be valid. The Home Office provides guidelines on what constitutes significant damage to a passport that would require replacement, but there is no universal rule book when it comes to assessing passport damage. It is difficult to predict how much damage would be acceptable to a border official on any given day. Airlines are legally required to ensure that any travel documents presented are valid, so they are likely to err on the side of caution when assessing passports. It is estimated that around 60,000 passengers are turned back by immigration authorities each year, and fines to airlines for allowing passengers to board who are later turned away at the border average around $3,500 per passenger. Travel insurers do not usually cover passport damage. British Airways has since added 40,000 Avios points to the passengers' executive club account and sent a £100 voucher towards a future BA flight. If the Tories don't get a grip on immigration, they'll deserve to be wiped out. Telegraph. The UK's immigration system is a mess and needs to be sorted out quickly, according to a column in City AM. The Migration Advisory Committee has argued that the shortage occupation list has been used by employers to undercut British workers, while the asylum system has been turned into an informal system of economic migration. The column argues that the UK needs to construct a points-based system closer to the Australian or Canadian models, allowing the country's doors to remain open mainly to high-skill, high-earning talent. 6 arrests after fires at asylum seekers hotel. BBC. 6 people have been arrested following protests at a hotel in Llanelli, Carmarthenshire that is due to be used to house asylum seekers. Large groups of people gathered outside the Stratey Park Hotel over the weekend and gained access by pushing down security fences. The protests resulted in 2 fires and damage to the hotel. The Home Office plans to use the hotel to accommodate up to 240 asylum seekers. Dyfed police described the behavior of some protesters as another concerning escalation. Further arrests are expected. Well, folks, it seems like immigration is the hot topic of the moment. Whether it's the UK Home Secretary questioning the relevance of the UN Refugee Convention or warning of a hurricane of migrants, or the Australian government introducing visa reforms to combat human trafficking, immigration is a complex and contentious issue that requires an open conversation. In the UK, Sala Braverman has faced criticism for her views on immigration, but it's important to understand the context. The population has grown significantly, putting pressure on public finances, and it's clear that immigration has continued to rise. While many may agree with Braverman's concerns about cultural upheaval, it's crucial for her to explain why this has happened under the Conservatives' watch. Across the pond, the scorching heat along the US-Mexico border has resulted in a tragic increase in deaths. The Biden administration's border policies are likely to face more criticism as a result, and it's clear that action needs to be taken to address this humanitarian crisis. Meanwhile, in Australia, international students are struggling to find work after graduation due to an oversupply of graduates and a lack of job opportunities. The government has been urged to make changes to post-study work rights to avoid false hope among international graduates. It's a challenging situation that requires careful consideration and policy adjustments. And let's not forget the growing disillusionment and disunity within the Conservative Party in the UK. Traditional supporters are feeling let down by the party's failure to deliver on key promises, such as reducing immigration. It's clear that a period of soul-searching and renewal is needed within the party, and perhaps a defeat at the next election could lead to a realignment and the rise of new leaders. So, my dear viewers, what are your thoughts on these immigration issues? Do you agree or disagree with the views expressed? Is there a solution that you think could work? Let's continue the conversation and hear your perspectives. What are your thoughts? Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.